about how you can receive the success you desire and deserve.
Yeah, it looks like we're live. It says we're live on my end.
All right, great. See?
Yeah.
So you know me, guys, I'm brilliant with business, but with technology, it's always like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So Megan, welcome to the Success Genie community. Very excited to have you here. How you can receive the success. There we go, technology. All right.
Awesome.
I know. Guys, you know you love me the way I am. All right, Megan, so please introduce yourself. Megan's my mentor, the person that's helped me grow my business the past few years. I'm very excited to have her here. And I just want you to meet her. So I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Kim. I can't believe it's taken us this long to do this because we are such fans of one another.
Yes.
And, absolutely. You know, it's so interesting. I'll do my introduction, but I got to see you do some reinventing when you were in my program, and literally simultaneously, you have watched me do my reinvention as well.
Yes.
So I just think that's so special and it's so cool. Okay, so a little bit about me. I am a consultant specifically in the category of client retention and group program fulfillment. So basically what that means is I try to be funny when I talk about this, but I tell people I help you on everything after the sale. Everything after the sale is in my wheelhouse. And I love going into mid to large size group programs, masterminds, even membership programs, and helping the business owner and their teams who are directly connected to client delivery and client support increase their client results, client retention, and client revenue, but revenue from the perspective of how it relates to lifetime value of a client. So yeah. I love going in and manufacturing all of that and figuring out how we can make lots of improvements to something that's already working pretty doggone well in terms of like, you got to leads are coming in, sales are coming in. In fact, it probably grew so rapidly. That's where a lot of the crunchy problems are happening. And why? Because there was such rapid growth in a really short period of time.
Yes.
So that's what I love doing.
Well, you do it well, and I'm really excited to share you with the community. And so you guys, if you're new to me, I'm Kim Kasparian, owner of Success Genie LLC, and my job when I'm not interviewing my mentors and friends and colleagues is to help burnt out business owners grow scalable businesses without sacrificing their personal life and not making costly hiring mistakes. So Megan and I complement each other. And we both have the same philosophy. If it ain't putting peace in your spirit, joy in your heart, profit in your pocket, all at the same time, come talk to us and in our respective roles, because that's what you deserve. My motto is success is your birthright. And if you're not having all of that, even though life is crazy and will continue to happen all around your plans, you need people in your community, in your world like us. And I'm all about helping you build your dream team, and not every person on your dream team is an employee. Sometimes you need people like Miss Megan over here to guide you and support you and empower you to get your business running in a way that you can step back. And I love what Megan's saying, because, you know, my 30 something years in sales and marketing, and building all my businesses, all my careers through strictly networking, and knowing how to retain clients, relationships. Megan is serving a much needed void in the marketplace, in my humble professional opinion. So Megan, why don't we let's talk about retention first and reinvention second.
Cool.
You know, we can geek out on retention, and you and I could speak to the choir all day long. But for business owners who just went from hustle to massive growth, and to use your words, are feeling the crunchiness in that journey, why is retention so important? Because in our world, in the coaching world, this is like a new term to them. It's like, you know, it's like, and I get kind of spicy and like, it's not new, it's called good business. Mm-hmm. But can you speak to our audience and invite them into why retention is so important, even at the beginning of your business? Like, you know, at any journey, the whole point is to retain your relationships.
Yeah. So I'm going to I'm going to paint a picture here because I think people like illustrations. I think it's easier to understand if we have a picture. So I wish I had a bucket in here, but I don't have a bucket. I don't have anything that looks like a
I'll be your
bucket.
bucket. I'm your bucket. I'm your
All
bucket.
right. So if we imagine a bucket, and usually we fill a bucket with water. So imagine you've got a bucket, you're going to like a 5-gallon bucket, you're going to fill it with water and you want to fill it all the way up to the top. And imagine that the water in the bucket are your clients. Okay. So if you have group programs of any kind, you're serving a lot of people. There's you and your team, you're serving a lot of people at one time. And you want those people to keep showing up, keep engaging, continue to participate in your program, get the results, do the work, make the progress. We want them to be happy. We want them to be satisfied. And we either want them to, stay in that program long-term if they need to, or you may have other offers in your ecosystem for them to move to. Mm-hmm. So that's really what retention is. Retention is going to keep people in your ecosystem. And the longer you can keep people in your ecosystem, the more money you're actually going to make. So it's going to have such a positive impact on your revenue. So if we imagine this bucket and all the water that's going in, that's your clients. And to get those clients there, you're probably doing some type of launch. So you're doing a live launch, or you're hosting webinars or master classes or workshops, whatever you're doing, right? And that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of muscle that goes into that, time, effort, energy, and oh, by the way, money and resources to even acquire those leads and acquire those clients. And in fact, it's 17 times more expensive to acquire a new client than it is to keep an existing client, right?
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
That's a fact, Jack.
17 times more expensive. So you go through all this effort to get all these people into your program. And then let's imagine that all of a sudden you start seeing the water level go down and down and down and down and down in that bucket, but you're not quite sure why. And so where the mind typically goes is, well, let's go do another launch. Let's go out and acquire more leads. Let's go acquire more clients. I've got to make as much money next month as I did last month, or I've got to make next year just as good as it was this year, or whatever. And the answer to that for a lot of people is, well, just go sell more, go make more revenue on the front end. Well, what's actually happening is your bucket has holes in the bottom of it. And those clients, which is the water, they are sometimes slowly, but sometimes quickly, they're just being flushed right out the bottom of your bucket.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to go buy from someone else who probably does the same thing as you, probably does it in a very similar way. And they're just going to go jump around and try to get the result. But meanwhile, you're over here trying to then pour more water into your bucket. So you go spend more money, hire more people, extend more of your resources, more time, all the things, spending 17 times more on acquiring clients. Now, when that happens, you keep filling the water in the bucket, but it keeps going out. Okay, guess what? You can't ever catch up. You can't ever catch up. So you're really at a place where you're just maintaining the level you've been able to get to financially, and your revenue isn't actually growing. Your profits aren't actually growing because the lifetime value of your client isn't growing. And now you're on a multi-six-figure or a multi-million-dollar hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. And you're going through that whole burnout process, using your word.
Yeah,
it's going to eventually burn you out because it's not sustainable. So that's why retention is so important, because it really is and to your point, Kim, it's not a secret, it's not new, but it is sort of like the answer.
It is. In the online community, whether you service coaches or whomever, this is not talked about enough. Everything's about lead gen. And, my spicy contribution to the conversation is, if you are a 6-figure proven performer, you don't have a lead gen problem. You have a retention problem. You have an infrastructure problem. You have a work-life balance problem. And I'm so excited in your reinvention that you've chosen to step into the void that I see and speak to this as a coach who grew up in the coaching community, built your own success in the coaching community, where I built my success outside and then came into the coaching community. I just think it's so important because people are literally burning out, walking away, some cases walking away from like a gold mine because they're just tired of always running and never getting the flexibility, freedom, and security that they intuitively knew was possible, but aren't getting. So I'm really excited to be having this conversation with you, Megan, and I love your style. And yes, just so you guys know me, when I find my dream team, I share them. It's like a sale at Nordstrom's. We all tell everybody, because I am here because of the quality of my relationships. I tell you all the time, I've had money come, I've had money go. And if I had to choose money or relationships, I choose relationships every day, twice on Sunday, because those are my riches. And in my experience, they have been able to help me retain, right, a modicum of sanity, and help me make money when people have snatched it away. You guys know my story, my embezzlement story, and different medical issues and accidents. It gives me security. We all want security. That's why we started our business. We wanted control and we wanted security. What has given me peace in my spirit, despite all the dramatic life happenings, is that I know I'm surrounded by wonderful people who know what to do when things aren't working. And that's why I'm choosing to share Megan with you, because she is just incredibly insightful and she's a human being. If any of you guys are tired of, oh, just like enter your information and like stand in line and I'll serve you. If you decide to connect with Megan, she's a real person. She actually gives a about you. And she's going to learn what's going on in your life rather than trying to put you into her box. Just saying, I think that needs to be said.
Well,
So,
Kim, like so much of the industry is that.
I can't.
So much of the industry is like people going, everybody joins a group program. But part of what's happened over the years is the people who are leading those programs are just teaching one way, and they're just teaching the way that they were successful. And this also is part of the retention conversation. Not everybody who you let into your program, although they may be the ideal client from a what's on paper perspective. But for example, I use this example all the time. If my husband and I, Sean, you know Sean really well.
Yeah, I do.
Both of us really well. If the two of us were in the same program, you would have to lead us and coach us and teach us in two very different ways. And I was a high school teacher before. And I say all the time to Sean, and this is like a wife saying this to a husband, I'm like, dude, if you were in my classroom, I don't know what I would do with you.
You'd be going into detention.
I mean, I would put him beside another student in the classroom who could actually assist him in doing some things, because there was only one me in my high school classroom. But I say that because Sean calls me in there all the time to like help him with stuff.
Yeah, no, my husband too. His strength is my weakness and his weakness is my strength. And we've just learned over the 20 years we've been together, let's just work together and get things faster as a team. Yeah, I
mean, my husband's in a program right now. It was 6 months. It was $12,000, which isn't, that's like pretty common numbers, 6 months, $12,000, not like crazy. And he was on one of the calls today, and I walked in and out to go to the kitchen a couple of times. But one of my times I came back in my office for like 45 minutes and I walked back out to go like get some water or something. And Sean's still sitting there. I wrote a post about this the other week.
Yes, I saw it. I saw it.
Okay. So it happened again this week. And the guy is still talking, not asking, the clients, what questions they have, just talking. And I'm like walking back and forth and I'm just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like these people are so bored. And I asked Sean, I was like, do you have any idea what you're supposed to do in your business based on that conversation today? He goes, I have no clue. I have no clue what he wants us to do. And I also know, like behind the scenes stuff about this particular program, there are certain clients who are also filing lawsuits because they think they were sold into something, all this money, and they're not getting it because you've got somebody who is smart. The dude is smart. He
Well,
has
he's a good marketer. Listen,
he's built great businesses, made a lot of money, but there's no awareness on how different people learn, his students, his clients, and his program. And guess what? They're dropping like flies. That's such a good example of like the retention is in the crapper.
well,
Because you know,
you and I, and if you're tuning in to this video, I know you're heart-centered. I know you guys are servant leaders. There is a business. I don't throw, what I know is I know all the business models out there, and I can customize one for any person who wants to, but and we're not throwing shade. It just, I can say for Megan and I, great marketers are not always the best business owners. So, and you can make a lot of money marketing, not a problem. Because we are about relationships and building community and building legacy and making the world a better place. And we're smart, savvy business people. Retention is the easiest thing to build your business around, because it's the fastest way to sustainability and getting out of what, you'll hear the rat race, or to be able to have the lifestyle of freedom and flexibility and fun that you want. For all the reasons why Megan said, yeah, I heard that. When I read that post, I'm like, oh my, that's not good. And we've all made that buying mistake.
yeah.
So you guys need to decide, making money is great. And do you want a way to replicate it and get your community to sell your products and services for you? That's kind of like my attempt at WIFM, what's in it for me, meaning you.
Mm-hmm.
You can work hard for the rest of your life and always be the perpetual salesperson, which I call the producer. And you can do that. I mean, I'm always going to be the face of my company. When people come into my company, no matter who I have, they're always going to be having experiences with me. But I have found that as your business grows, at some point, you can't grow the business from the producer role. You always need a producer, a system, or a person. But if you really, and my audience are your audience, Megan, they're all about growing the business beyond themselves. But I love having you here because everyone talks it, not everyone can walk it like you and I. So if you're tuning in with us, I'm with Megan Hewer, my friend, my mentor, and a fellow business builder, sustainable business builder, talking about retention and reinvention. Because I think these are two words that you need to be aware of, you need to have in your vocabulary, and you definitely, I want to encourage you to incorporate it into your business model this year. So retention is just making sure people feel served in a way that they want to stay with you and grow with you. And Megan and I have both built our businesses, from little like, oh my God, I hope I can do this, to where we are now, because we've always been involved with our clients' experience and inviting them to grow with us. And based on their needs, building programs that serve them. And since we were serving them, we just invited a lot more people in, and we've just been rinsing and repeating for like more years than we kind of want to admit. So if you're a business owner and you're feeling burnt out, not because you don't love what you do, but because you're just tired of always chasing clients, cash flow, and you feel like what Megan just said, you're pouring precious water into a cracked bucket, you want to be part of this conversation. So Megan, retention is it. Why don't we talk about, because we're going to move into like, how do we fix this, right? Reinvention. What are in your experience or your opinion, the 3 biggest missteps in this conversation that, not talking about the people who just want to market to make a buck, but are committed, heart-centered, servant leader business owners that didn't know what we just said, right? They're like, oh, wow. And by the way, what Megan described in her story is the revenue plateau that every business owner hits at some point, and you'll hit it at every level of 6 figures, and you'll hit it at every level of 7 figures and 8 and 9, because this is just the journey of growth. And knowing how to reinvent yourself and retain will make this just like part of life, like grab a cup of coffee and let's just go. Yeah. So Megan, what are the 3 missteps that business owners make, and they don't even maybe know they're making it, that creates, you alluded to, they don't know how to teach people to implement. They just know how to give information. So
Mhm.
confusing consulting with training. I'm going to start out with the first one in my own words. They're confusing consulting and teaching with just transfer of information. Would that be
Mhm.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with training, but trainers know how to train in a certain way, and they're only responsible for presenting the information. What they walk out of the room, they've done their job.
Right.
You know, when you're a consultant or a coach, we have a different relationship with the client.
Yep.
What would be the two other missteps that you think people are making innocently or
Yeah,
unknown?
so I would call that first one not individualizing the program for the clients,
Okay.
because scale is all the rage, right? Like everybody wants to scale, and a lot of folks who are teaching scale, and it's not like they're teaching it like bad or wrong, but it's like you've got to put every single one of your clients through the exact same system. So you have to teach them all the same thing. They have to go through the exact same curriculum, blah, 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 blah. But like I said, if Sean and I were both in your same program, which is possible that we would be in the same program, you've got to individualize the process and the experience for the two of us, because he and I have very different strengths and weaknesses.
And
We
learning
have
styles.
very different learning styles. And we also have very different processing styles, like how our brains process information. So I would say number one, if we were going to give it a label, it's you've got to individualize your programs more. Another one that I will share is one of the mistakes is not periodically and like consistently over time collecting feedback from your clients. When I do consulting, that like when I go into a company and I do consulting, a lot of the decisions I'm helping the business owner make, it's based on looking at the program through the viewpoint of the client, not through the viewpoint of what we as the business owner think about the client. Those are two very different things.
Mhm.
And what I have found, I don't know if I have one client I've worked with yet who was collecting feedback from their clients consistently. And so I go in and I interview their clients. So if you can't give me feedback that you've collected over the last 12 months, then give me a list of 10 to 20 names and let me go do third-party interviews with your clients, because they're going to tell you exactly what they would like you to do different. They're going to tell you if they're satisfied or not. And let's pretend that your program is 12 months long. I'm a really big believer in creating something of additional value every 90 days in that program. Because that's actually one of the things that leads to retention. Your clients knowing that you're constantly improving the program. Now, added value doesn't mean leave everything that's there and just keep stacking on more stuff. That's the biggest mistake that a lot of group program facilitators are making. So I would say like feedback, not collecting feedback and not, finding out what their clients actually want and don't want. That's a really big mistake. And then a third one that I'm noticing is that there are zero metrics and no data being collected after the sale. So people are pretty good about tracking leads, prospects, sales calls, how many sales closed, tracking their revenue, basically marketing and sales.
Sales, yeah, the producer. I call it the producer dashboard.
They understand like email open rates, click-through rates, conversion rates on landing pages, like they know all of that. But it's like no data and metrics are being collected at all when it comes to the program delivery. So things like tracking participation with the different elements of your program, tracking engagement inside of your community platform, tracking engagement on your calls, tracking, like from an accountability perspective, tracking student progress, obviously tracking revenue and retention. There's lots of different things that you can track when it comes to program delivery and client success. And yes, I'm a really big believer in making decisions from your intuition, but you're going to make better decisions, more powerful decisions faster when you actually have those metrics and that data. And the more frequently you're checking it, the better and more quickly you can make decisions to improve things. So if you're only looking at it once a year, that's not really going to help you. Once a month is great. I would say like that's an awesome starting point. Even better is once a week to look at those metrics.
All right, so let's unpack that. So for those of you who are, at the level that Megan works at, her ideal client usually at this point has a team. And you can take what Megan's saying, even if you don't have a team yet, like if you're still doing everything yourself. And when you're doing everything yourself and you're implementing what Megan is talking about, you're engaging with your clients all the time and you're asking after every session, what was the value that you got out of it? What can we do differently next time? You can kind of do this a little bit on the fly, or even if you want to be more organized, because Megan is so organized. She loves her data sheets. God bless you, Megan. But you can do it. But here's where it gets funky. And this is why, this is the fear that like people come to me with, whether they're going to work with me or I'm going to send them to someone like Megan. They're like, Kim, I love my clients and I'm very protective of my clients. And my biggest fear is having, employees or putting that layer between us. And then I'm never going to know what's going on with my clients. And I have experienced that. And in my early days of not knowing how to do what Megan's saying and blending my personality of being very involved, but yet letting go. And this is where what Megan's saying is so important. You need systems to track all this, because as you grow and you invite people to take care of your clients, right? You have program directors, you have managers, you have whatever it is you feel you need to grow your organization. And they're doing a lot of the face-to-face time. I call it a success dashboard. Megan can introduce you to what she calls it. But I always say, let people take care of your people, but you should always have that eye in the sky, success dashboard, that even if you're not there, you know what's going on. And you're keeping your ear to what your kids are. I call my clients kids. They could be 50 years old guys, or like they're my kids. What my kids are needing, what my kids are wanting, and that's something Megan's really good at, helping you build the system, the layers of communication, to be involved even when you're away, to be present even though you've moved out of the producer role into the CEO role. And I always talk about, because in corporate, this is the rub, and it's even for the entrepreneurial journey into business ownership. You spent your entire career building your clientele, building the relationships. Everything was based on me, myself, and I. And you got a lot of kudos for that. Oh, my phone. You got a lot of kudos. Now you get promoted into management, or you make your business happen, and now you're CEO. The cosmic joke is you're only as successful as your weakest link in your business. So now your success is not built on what you can do, but how strong, how effective your employees are and your managers. Don't you love the fun? And this can be very frustrating for us builders, because, when we do something and we put something down, it stays where they are. When we're with clients, we know that we've gotten them to the end. When you have a company and you have a team, people are not, things. You have to be able to trust them, but inspect what you expect.
Yes.
Okay. And that's a
Love
huge,
that.
yeah, huge. And I did not, do that well in the beginning, and he paid a huge price. So, if you can learn from our learning curves, more power to you. So Megan, talk about a little bit about, we don't have to go into detail, because if they want more, they can come talk to you. But the journey of that, and why working with someone like you is so important versus an info commercial or an info, coaching program.
Yeah. I mean, most people are just going to talk to you about marketing and sales, honestly. Like, let's just be honest. Most people who are going to help you scale and help you generate more revenue, because even when you're at this level, you still want to make more money. Everybody does. If you're in business, you want to get to the next level. And oftentimes, this is the other thing that I have recognized, is that a lot of folks don't understand that they actually have a retention problem, or they have a client success problem, or they have a program delivery problem. They actually still think, even at 7 figures plus, they've got a marketing or a sales problem. And so they're trying to fix that. And then they're hiring people that are helping them just fix that. And so it's like, let's just figure out how to get more people in here. Let's figure out how to scale. Let's figure out how to system, like whatever.
Yeah.
And you're, again, we've already talked about this, but you're ignoring the elephant in the room. And the thing that's actually going to help you generate more revenue at that stage of your business, it is
Retention.
increasing your retention. And you want to see retention be very, very high. I mean, I worked with a client in December. Her retention was like 5%. Now she knows what she's doing. She's very good. She's very good at what she does. She's an expert at what she does, but she was missing the mark on training her team to be able to properly execute inside the program. She was people pleasing with all of her clients inside of her program. She was just adding more elements and overwhelming the heck out of her clients.
Yeah.
And the clients weren't making the progress that they wanted to make when they joined the program. So guess what? When they were done with the program, they left. They left and they probably went and bought something very, very similar from someone else and probably had a very similar experience in that as well. So, you know, my background is in public education, and I also worked as the right hand for a very large scale coaching company entrepreneur, where I literally built my position. You and I have talked about this so much, Kim.
Yeah, you created the infrastructure from nothing. Yeah.
I created it from nothing because having the teaching background, I knew how to run a classroom. I knew how to run a school. And most entrepreneurs don't know how to do that. Entrepreneurs are great visionaries. They're horrible operators and managers.
Yeah.
Not good at that at all. And you really need someone to come in to balance that side of things out for you, or else it's going to be crazy making for forever.
So you made a good point, and I talk about it with my community all the time. You can make money being an entrepreneur. You can. And entrepreneurs make deals all the time, and they make money along the way, putting great possibilities together. If you want to be a sustainable business owner, and there's a different energy, okay? You want passive income, you want something that you could have you want to have something at the end of your tenure to sell, or you want to leverage it as a performing asset to do something else. You need to understand what Megan's talking about. And there's a journey between being a producer into becoming a leader, right? And if it's okay if you don't, like, Kim, I don't know how to do infrastructure. That's okay. That's why Megan and I exist. And it's important. Yep, guys, I want you to know you can be successful and have life happening, like your phone's ringers like off, but they work anyway. And like dear darling hubby's coming in. So welcome to my world. But this is the thing. Infrastructure has to be flexible. And what I love about Megan is when the first time I met her, and I met her on Messenger, she met me as the human being she was. I was having a very human moment, was recovering from an accident, looking for information to figure out a teacher who could help me reinvent myself online while I was benched. And when she heard I was in an accident, she was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Not yet, but," and she's like, "You know what, when you're ready, I'd love to help you out." I go, because I was afraid to be on camera. I was afraid to be in a room with powerful people. And she's like, "Just show up. We'll fix it. We'll figure it out." So, you know, when I bring somebody on camera or I introduce you, like, they're human beings, but this is the work. So and for you, you're saying, Kim, like, "Oh my God, I realize now I'm an excellent producer. I'm not a good leader." We got you. We got you. So
a lot of people feel that way. Almost everybody.
And it's okay. That's why I talk about Dream Team. Okay. I can remember like 20 something years ago having a meltdown at a BNI meeting, you know, afterwards. And like, everyone's like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "I can't do this." Everyone knew me as a salesperson. I was saying I was going to start the business. And I'm like, I just started getting cold feet. And I'm like, "I can't do this." And they're like, "Why?" And it was my accountant, the accountant in the group I go, I'm going to fail." And he's like, "How can you fail?" I'm like, "I don't know how to do like quarterly taxes. I don't know how to do all that back end." He's like, "I got you. You got a garbage bag?" I'm like, "Yeah, just put all the receipts in a garbage bag. I got you." I'm like, he's like, "I got you." And through my journey, I had a coach that was willing to literally crazy glue my bottom to do what Megan's saying. And I just started collecting people who knew everything that I didn't, who would empower me to be in charge, but delegate what I didn't do well, and taught me how to be the leader to make sure I could control everything. So this requires reinvention. This requires a pivoting of your mindset. It may require a reinvention of your business model, which is not a bad thing. And that's why I've invited Megan here. So Megan, let's talk about the part of the journey where they get to reinvent. They're like, I don't have that, Miss Megan. It's okay. Like, we can go get it. Talk about reinvention.
Yeah, so much has happened in the last 3 years, like the 2020s. The 2020s are going to be freaking bananas. They're going to be bananas until we get to 2030. Like, everybody just brace yourselves, because it is.
We're pioneers. We are so pioneers. We're pioneers of the new world.
Yeah, we are. And, all the stuff that happened in the last 3 years, it shook a lot of people up, including myself. I mean, I definitely put myself in that bucket. It shook a lot of us up because technology changed again so rapidly in the last like year, 2 years. So the psychology of people has altered, I believe. The economy has changed. What and who people trust has changed. And that has impacted people's buying cycles, what they're buying, what they're saying yes to, the timeline that it's taking for people to make decisions. Like, it's just, so much has changed. And for myself, and this was occurring to a number of my clients as well, and colleagues, in 2021 and 22, largely, what was working for all of us in like 2017, 18, 19, 20, I would say like all the 2010s, all of a sudden, it was almost like it was overnight. It stopped working.
It's gone.
Stopped working.
From corporate all the way down to Main Street. It's all gone.
Yeah. And that's a very jolting experience to have. And you're like, but this has always worked. This has always supplied me with the clients, the cash flow, the money, the whatever. And now it's not working anymore. The message isn't working anymore. The way I was marketing wasn't working anymore. And so that was happening on a surface level. Everybody. But then
everybody. Yeah.
There was something so much deeper than that. And if you're someone who is highly self-aware, I consider you and I both to be highly self-aware people. There was a stirring internally. There was this stirring, and you and I have had very personal conversations about this right here in Florida over lunch. And I just went through this pretty long, I mean, it was about a year, maybe a little more period of time where internally I was feeling a lot of anxiety and angst and frustration and not knowing, like I was just sort of like wandering around.
Like someone erased your forehead. Yep.
Yeah. And I started questioning everything, which is a good thing, right? So I would say like all of that felt like confusion. It felt like confusion.
It wasn't for you. It was an awakening.
Yeah.
It was an awakening, but it wasn't comfortable.
Not at all.
I know that road. Yeah.
And there's just this, you don't know, there's a lack of certainty. There's a lack of stability. There's a lack of safety. And when you have a lack of safety and stability, which is the number one basic human need, it's like, you can't even get to all the other stuff.
No,
all the other human needs. So, I went through this process where I thought, okay, I'm going to pause on this like rapid hyper selling and promoting and launching. I'm going to pause because I know something's trying to come up, because I'm aware enough to know that when there is confusion, there's also like a great deal of clarity. And confusion is a very positive thing. It can be a very positive thing. And so I paused because I knew all the answers were inside of me, but so many years of like just piling up stuff on top, it's like it had nowhere to go. It had nowhere to come through a clear channel and for me to actually connect with it. And so for me, this is just my journey. I'm not saying anybody needs to go do this. I paused hyperselling. I fulfilled all my contracts. I had monthly recurring revenue coming in, and I was kind of like quietly just taking on one-on-one clients again. This was in 2021. Wasn't advertising it. I was still showing up online, and I was starting to have a lot of one-on-one conversations. And Kim, this is actually how I got back into heavily networking and building relationships again, versus relying so much on the social media presence, which is not my favorite thing at all. I mean, it's probably my least favorite thing. And I was having all these conversations with people who were at 7 figures, high 6 figures, mid 6 figures, like people who'd been in business for years, if not many decades. And they were all saying the same thing I was feeling. And I was like, number one, I was like, okay, well, I feel better because
Yes. Don't you
I'm
love
not
that?
the only
Like,
one.
yeah. It's not that we're like,
And
oh, so like, it's not like we're gleeful that you're having a problem. Like, okay, I'm not alone. Like, okay, I'm not the only
I'm
one.
not alone. And I was like, I wish I had talked to you sooner, but I can't tell you, I was having countless conversations. And what I was hearing is, I want to burn my whole business down. I literally want to burn the whole thing down. I don't like what I've built. I don't like the life it's created for me. I don't like the life that it's basically stealing from me.
Yeah.
I
I
remember
guess
one
you're doing
woman,
something
she had
stupid.
done $1 million in 2021. And she was like, I just want to have dinner with my family at the table every night. And I actually want to be able to go to my kids' Saturday soccer game. And I
Yeah.
was like, what? Like, you're not even like, you're missing your 10-year-old soccer games and you're not even having dinner as a family at all.
Well, and
You're not,
you know that's foreign to you and I, that because like that's why we got into our own business, because we were going to be there. But yeah, and it's so I'm excited that you're talking about this, because people don't realize people at the top are having the same problem as the people on the bottom. And
yes,
and so I'm saying this because we all do it. Sometimes you look at somebody and say, oh, they're like, their life is perfect, or they're making more money, so their life must be better than mine, or they're so put together. Every entrepreneur makes this mistake. And it's human nature. We build what we know. And
yes,
we were all super performers in a job, whether it was corporate or wherever. And you think you're building a business, and you build a job, and you feel bad, and you feel shame. And that's why I'm bringing Megan on. You hear me talk about it all the time. Megan's my social proof, and maybe you don't need me, you need Miss Megan. So I want you to know there's a lot of us out here who understand that you're burnt out because what you built was a job. And if you wanted to put up with this stuff, you could go back to corporate, getting 401ks, paid time off, and a whole team of people to take everything off your plate except your zone of genius.
yeah,
So that's why I brought Megan here, because you don't need to burn it all down.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you
What
need
you're
to
talking
have
about, it's like we all have had a winning strategy that we developed when we were kids.
yes.
And I started recognizing that my winning strategy, most of my life, even as a child, and I'm very good at this, my winning strategy was basically looking at some other model of success,
Mhm.
and I could do it better. So instead of going in and figuring out, well, what's my way? What's
Right.
my way of business model? What's my way of working with people? What's
What do
my
I
way
want?
of
What
doing-
do you want? What makes
what do
your
I
heart
want?
sing? Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Performing.
Yes.
We're good performers.
And that's why for a very long time, also most of my life, I would second guess myself. I wouldn't trust myself. I would question myself because that is not my winning strategy. My winning strategy was find a model that works really, really well. And I'm very good at studying it and then figuring out how it was done. I can do it really fast. And then I can turn around and you better believe I will do it better. And I did that my whole life. So I was like, I trained myself how to do that. And now, like when I got to the point, like 2 years ago, where you experienced my whole reinvention and sort of like the breakdown of what I had built. I mean, I broke it down. I knew deep down, I couldn't keep moving forward with that winning strategy because it was causing me the frustration, the resentment, the anger, that it's not working the way it should be working at this point. It's because I had to let go of that winning strategy. Now, that being said, that requires reinvention, and that required reinvention of my identity. So I had to literally,
that's huge. Yeah, that's huge.
Reinventing the identity of who you see yourself to be and how you see yourself and how you see the world and how you see other people, how you see relationships, how you see your thoughts. And so I dove headfirst into the identity reinvention. And it was through the identity reinvention that allowed the space for the business reinvention.
Yeah.
And it's tough because you still reach back into the bag of what worked for you in the past in your business, of how you filled your programs and how you showed up and how you wrote, and you still do it. Like you still dabble in it and it doesn't work.
No.
And you don't like it and it's frustrating and you feel like you're beating your head up against a wall, and you literally have to get rid of all of it. You literally have to throw it away And you've got to have, I'm going to use the word faith, because for me, this journey has required so much faith for me.
Yeah.
You've got to have the faith that when you do follow your inner guidance,
Yes.
that it will work. It will
It
work.
will. No, it will. But you have to learn. You have to learn how to. What I call, my words are, listen to the whisper.
Yes.
And it's not easy. And if you haven't been taught, it's scary as.
It's very scary.
Yeah. So, which brings us up to the reason why I invited you on. If you want to do this work, you definitely can't do it alone. And it is done the best within a community, whether it's a community that you show up to weekly, or you do it within a 2 to 3 day, during a retreat. And each format has its gifts. Like I've done it, there's work that you can do one-on-one, and there's work that you can't do one-on-one that you can do in a group. And there's work that you can't do in a group, but you can do in a retreat. And so the reason why I'm introducing you to Megan is she has a wonderful community where you can do this work, that you don't have to experiment and you don't have to take the leap of faith alone. And you can get the guidance that you need to keep your money and things that are working in your business moving forward, and create a space for your new identity as the CEO of your life, of the CEO of your business, and be the leader of the community that I know you want, that you wanted from the minute you started your business. And it's a group where you don't have to apologize for just being human and doing what you know. So Megan, can you talk a little bit about the journey our community will take when they come into your room, or they come into your community and learn this thing called reinvention?
Yeah, I actually host retreats, in-person retreats. They're 3 days, and it's the reinvention retreat. So we spend 3 days. We break that down like this. Day 1 is all about reinvention of you and your identity, kind of like what I talked about here, right? Like it all starts with the reinvention of your identity, because you have to see yourself differently. You have to change the way you think. You have to change the way you feel. You have to change the way you perceive yourself in the world. You have to change the way you perceive the world around you. You have to change the way you perceive the relationships that you're involved with. And I'm not saying you have to get rid of them. I'm happily married. I'm not getting rid of Sean, right? Like I'm going to choose to stay in that relationship.
Sorry, Sean, she's not getting rid of you. Sorry.
Not getting rid of you. So day 1 is all about the reinvention of you, your life. And it's really setting the tone to ensure that you are making decisions in your business moving forward that are going to have a positive impact on your life, that instead of a negative impact on your life, again, where you're like burned out or you don't even love what you're doing anymore.
Day one is about getting an internal compass that they can trust.
Yeah. I hear a lot of people saying like, I just want myself back. I've been in business 20 years. My husband has had, I talked to a woman recently and she's like, my husband's had a stroke. My husband had cancer. COVID hit, like he lost his real estate business. She had to pick up the slack in her business. Mm-hmm. And they have a family and they have kids and they have adopted kids and all these things. And she's the only one working. And she said to me on a call, she was like, I just want myself back. I want myself back. And I want, as a result of that, I want to do my business differently moving forward. But this is what I've known for 20 years, right? Like this is what I've known for 20 years. So that's day 1. Day 2 is reinvention of your business. So we got to do the inner before we can do the outer. And look, we're not here to try to make you tear down your whole entire business. Reinvention could be a 2% shift. It could be doing something very slightly differently. It could be reinventing your business model, reinventing your pricing structure, reinventing the type of client you work with, reinventing the way that you work with your team. And it's going to be different for everybody. And maybe it's only one particular area. Maybe it's a few. And then day 3, we're going to focus on the reinvention of your relationship with time and money. And something that's very important is helping you get to a place where you're profiting, but then knowing what you desire to do with that profit so that it's adding to your wealth bucket. And you're not just out like doing whatever with it and it's not filling up
hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Awesome. And where can they find out more information or say, I want to be part of that experience? Where do we have people connect with you and the reinvention community?
Yeah. So go to thewealthbuilderscollective.com. And I'm sure we can like put that somewhere in.
Yes, I promise you guys, we're going to put it in the description.
Yeah.
So
It'll be
yeah,
in the description. So that page will tell you everything you need to know.
say it again so they can spell slowly.
Yes. The Wealth Builders Collective.com.
There you go. So, Megan, what else do we need to share with the community about what's waiting for them when they decide to embrace reinvention?
Oh, it's like the life that you always have envisioned in your mind and the version of you that you've always envisioned in your mind that you know is possible, because I can see it for me. You can see it for you. We can actually all see it. We daydream about it all the time. You see images of it in your mind all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually creating that instead of sitting here and watching it play out in your mind.
Go living it. Yeah.
You go live it.
Life's too short. You know,
Yeah.
you want to, when you leave this life, you want to say, I had so much fun.
Yeah.
So glad I came.
Yeah.
Megan, is there anywhere else that you want people to connect to you online? We've got the wealthbuilderscollective.com. Any other place that people can be a part of the community, or is that where that's where we want to invite people? That's fine.
I've got a podcast. So if you love to listen to podcasts, I've got a show called Built to Last, which is awesome. So that's a place. And find me on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as Megan J. Huber. So those are fantastic places to connect.
Yeah, I totally recommend you connect with her. She brings her personality to, all her social media. It's her. She lets you in. No, she doesn't hold anything back. She is very transparent online. And I think you'll get a lot out of building your own relationship with Megan. And if you are ready for this level of concierge coaching, you have my blessing, you have my recommendation. Megan really knows what Megan is talking about. And she's got a really incredible community. And if you think it's time for you to be a part of that, absolutely go to the wealthbuilderscollective.com and find out more. And if you're like, I don't know if I'm ready yet, but I really like Megan, definitely connect with her online, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You will be glad you did. Megan, I so appreciate you taking the time. I've been wanting to introduce you to the community for so long. Life finally calmed down enough for me to be able to walk and talk and chew gum at the same time. But you are welcome back anytime. And yeah, guys, I love Megan. She came into my life when, like I hit that plateau of like, maybe I can't be the success genie anymore. Maybe this is the end. I don't know. I don't want it to be the end, but I can't do it the old way anymore. I literally can't do it.
Yeah.
And she was just everything I needed and still is. And, she's gone from my coach to my mentor to my friend. And I am just so grateful to her and Sean. And I just want you to know she is a viable resource, a trusted resource in my life. Therefore, I'm making her available to you. I love you. I believe success is your birthright. And all you need to do is believe that and be willing to receive it. Now you know somebody other than me who can talk this language with you and help you grow. So until next time, till the next conversation with me, believe and receive. And Megan, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. And I promise, guys, all our information will be below. So if you didn't hear all that, the links will be below once we're done with recording.
Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome, sweetie. Take care.